All right, let's see if I can make this work. Let us begin. Hello everyone, and welcome to BHT Studios, and welcome to BHT Live episode number 19. And yeah, sorry for this another last minute. It is a Thursday afternoon. It is not good for Europe, and it is not good for Asia. So I've picked a really odd time. I know most of you joining will probably be from North America, but let me know where you're coming in from, and thank you so much for joining. And if you are tuning in from Europe and or Asia, also let me know. Right now I have Steele Matthews. I know he is a local, so hello Steele Matthews. And yeah, I thought I would do one because a couple of reasons. One is I haven't done a video in a bit, not only a live video, but a properly produced video. And I have lots in the pipeline because I probably have about 8 videos recently shot, and it's just waiting to be edited. And also, sorry, let me know if the audio is good and everything's syncing good. Hey, Donald Klein, how's it going? Just stopping to have lunch and go online, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm here live. Yeah, this was the only time I had. I have a family barbecue on Saturday, and then I have a picnic on Sunday. And so I wouldn't have any time on the weekend to do live. And then tomorrow is Camera Girl's day off. And instead of doing a live video, I thought I would shoot a video with her tomorrow if she allows it. So I thought I would, the only time I could do a live show was either today or again, not until another week. And I didn't want another week to go by without me doing a live. Let me know again if video and audio, Donald, you saying it's good? Excellent, thank you. Just as I always point out, I'm using the Blue Yeti microphone. So if any of you are thinking about doing podcasting, live video, this also comes in multiple colors. I think most people prefer black, but I got this silver one because I didn't have a choice. Logitech sent this out to me, and so I guess Logitech owns Blue. So thank you so much, Logitech. Thank you so much, Blue, for sending this out to me. Awesome microphone. I use it for all my sort of voiceovers, as well as all my live shows, my Zoom video calls. And this evening, I'm doing a Fuji Love podcast with Fred and Mark. And so look out. I don't know how long it takes for them to produce those podcasts, but if you are subscribed to Fuji Love, I don't know if that's access, if everyone can access it, or if it's only for members. But either way, I'll be doing a Fuji Love podcast sometime this evening. And so I'm busy. I thought I would do a live show and then do the podcast. And I just posted an article on Fuji Love featuring the Fujifilm XS10 and the new 18mm f1.4, which I love. I reviewed both of these separately in other previous articles and videos, but I've never had these two together. And after reviewing the Leica Q2 and the Q2 monochrome for a month, I kind of got used to carrying kind of like a high quality fast aperture 28mm. This is an equivalent 28mm lens. And so I thought, hey, I wonder if this can kind of substitute for Leica Q. It's not the same, of course, because this is an interchangeable lens. The Leica is fixed like a X100 series camera. But as well, it's a leaf shutter, so it's very quiet. It has flash, very high speed flash sync up to 1/4000th of a second. This one is like 1/250th or maybe even like 1/80th of a second on the XS10. So it's not the same, but you know, this has IBIS, it has a 20mm equivalent, it has an f1.4 lens, and unlike the Leica Q, this has a decent grip, which allows me to, like, even though this is kind of a heavy lens, the grip really helps with me carrying this around all day. And so I thought I would actually do my fake thing, you know, like this video is not sponsored by, because I'm trying to get sponsorship, guys. I'm trying to get sneaker brands to sponsor either my regular videos or my live videos. What does it cost them to send me a pair of sneakers once a month? Like on their end, cost them like maybe 50 bucks, 75 bucks. And these are like 2 sneakers that I have right now that I love. This is the the Air Max 95 in triple black. I think it's actually anthracite. It's black anthracite, so it's kind of a bluey, kind of a gray. And I have this on the cover of my live video thumbnail, as well as on my Fujilove article. And this is the Adidas NMDs version 2. You can sort of tell by the little back area here. This is the version 2, but both kind of not, this isn't triple black, but both really cool sneakers, and Taki would love to be able to be like sponsored by Adidas and like show you a cool shoe sponsored by Nike. But we'll see if, and that's the hurdle Big Head Taco's having. If anyone knows anyone in the shoe industry, let them know the Big Head Taco would love to do some kind of a shoe street photography collaboration. Anyway, so put these down on the floor. And in my description, I talked about straps. So you guys know I love camera straps. And for this, because I wanted that kind of the triple black sort of theme, this is a gray strap. This is a Kuda strap here, but it is a Kuda / camera film photo. They do kind of like collaborative strap designs and stuff like that. And this is their latest one that I got, which is really cool. I like this colorway here, but they came out with 3 different colorways, and I will have discount codes. Oh, here, I'll show you this side here. I will have discount codes at the very end. There we go. At the very end of the, or maybe halfway through the video. And Kuda uses really nice chrome plated brass rings, which won't damage your lugs here. That's the thing. If you use stainless steel rings on your camera straps, and this lug is stainless steel on steel will wear each other out. But when Kuda always uses brass, so brass is going to be softer than your lugs, and so you aren't going to wear out your lugs, you're going to wear out your rings. And so that's one of the reasons why I really like these straps, as well as they're just really high quality, and they work well on lighter. So I wouldn't use something like this on a DSLR or anything that has a huge lens on it, but something maybe maximum weight, something like this. But I love it on stuff like an X100 series camera like this. Kuda strap would work out great, as well as on cameras like the X70, which is now discontinued, but I love this design, right? It just has that, like, kind of like the XE4 articulating screen. You could use it as a selfie screen. I wouldn't, but you could if you wanted to. But I kind of like this thing here, how it kind of sticks out like this. So when you are shooting street, you have this kind of this length here, which is one of the reasons why I actually like the XE4 a lot. And then finally, I think the last video I didn't even mention it, but I do have a Wotancraft bag. I am reviewing it. I have an unboxing video that I've shot but haven't produced, and I've been testing this. And I shot a video up in Whistler reviewing the Pilot bag that I brought up with me on vacation. But this is my Lightning Rider. If you've been hanging out with me in town, you guys have seen me with this bag. I love this camera bag. Unboxing video, first impressions, and then a full review on this bag. And then someone complained before saying, Take, your background looks so boring, you should put something back there. So that's kind of why I put different things. Maybe I'll even put this X100 there like that. What do you think? And then if one of the brands like Nike, if they sponsor my videos, I just like put your shoe up here, see? And then the whole video as I talk, you can see a shoe over my shoulder. And then, hey, Adidas, I haven't forgot about you. If Adidas wants to sponsor me, and put it like that. But it doesn't have to be either of those. It could be Puma, Asics. It could be Converse. Taka loves shoes. And so putting that out there for you guys to help out if you can. Hey, Cafe Weaver, how's it going? I think anyone can listen to the podcast. Very good. So thank you. So yeah, so I'll be recording a Fujilove podcast with Mark and Fred Ranger. Mark is the regular host of the Fujilove podcast, and then Fred is a contributor. He runs the YouTube channel for Fujilove, and so us three will be talking about life and photography and gear and all that nerdy stuff, but kind of off the cuff, right? Nothing scripted. I don't even know what questions Mark is going to ask me, which I love not having to prepare, because, you know, it's very organic, right? Like, I take out stuff and leave it on my desk here, so if we talk about certain things, I can just grab, like, the Ricoh GR3, right? This live show isn't sponsored yet, And I probably wouldn't want these sponsored by a specific manufacturer. Not that I would say no to it, because then if Leica's like, Take would love to sponsor one of your live shows, then all I would do is feature Leica cameras or something that's kind of like on point with Leica. So I'm okay with it, but I'd rather have something neutral, like a shoe brand. So like they don't care what I talk about. As long as I showcase their shoes, they're happy, right? But anyways, check out the Fujilove podcast when you have time. Steel Matthews, Air Max 95s are weird. They're definitely weird. You know, the designer, Tinker Hatfield, I think, designed the Air Max 90s, which is actually called the Air Max 3s. And then an Italian designer came up with this design. It was the first Air Max that kind of had almost like the full-length air unit across the shoe instead of just in the heel, which is what they've been doing. Nike had been doing since I think called the Nike Air Tailwind from like 1978 or something like that. It's the Forrest Gump shoe, right? But this has the full-length air unit, and it has these lines, and it's sort of based on two things. One of them was like the human skeleton. So on the back, it kind of has a vertebrae kind of a look, like a backbone look, and from the top, it kind of looks like bones. And then from the side, I heard that this is supposed to be kind of based off of the Grand Canyon or the layers of erosion of, you know, like the different sedimentary layers. I don't know what you call it, but like the Grand Canyon layers. And so it is a weird looking shoe. And that's kind of why I got the triple black, because triple black shows less weirdness, if you can call it that, when it's just all black. So I think these are cool in triple black, but some of them, each layer is a different color and it looks weird. But these are actually very comfortable for walking. I don't show random shoes for no reason. This is a very sort of a mid-90s, well-molded. It's a very stiff rear heel counter here, so it's nice and rigid. Newer shoes are like this, where they're more sock-like. And I like these for casual wear and casual walking, but if you're walking a lot, your foot does slip in these. So depending on your foot shape and depending on what you're used to, but I find if you're doing like serious walking, especially for me going, you know, up curbs, down curbs, standing on weird things, propping my body up against walls, you know, kind of street photography stuff. I find that these sock style shoes, I want a little bit more support, especially in the heel, which this doesn't have bad heel support, but something like an Air Max 95 or a New Balance. I like the 574s, but even the new 990 version 5s, those are more rigid kind of style shoes, and these are meant more for running or forward propulsion, unlike court shoes, which I have right here. My favorite shoe of all time, right, is the Adidas Superstars. I love these type of shoes. I'm wearing the mules right now, but you know, they're flat bottoms, right? So a lot of people say they're comfortable. They're reasonably comfortable, but if you're walking all day, these shoes aren't great for like 20, 30,000 steps. It's not designed to, it's designed for stability and court stability, but it's not designed for all day walking like this, right? This is not bad. This has the cork insole, so it does mold to your foot shape, but ultimately you do want a shoe that has a bit of a curve and gives you a little bit of front propulsion. As you can tell, Take loves shoes. But anyways, Air Max 95s, I think they're cool, but they are kind of weird. Rafael Pastor, you should make a strap, maybe a camera strap and a matching NATO strap for your watches. Yeah, I know. I definitely, you know, even on my desk, I have like just a couple of watches sitting here. This is a, what's it called? Tax? Tax is like a watch-inspired, camera-inspired, camera lens-inspired watch. And this is actually from Mint when they, it was like a kind of like a gift to their loyal supporters. So Mint made this watch, and then I have my chronograph here, my Cobalt chronograph from the early 2000s. But yeah, I would love to do some camera watches, straps, that kind of stuff in the near future. Who said the background was boring? Yes, someone had said like if you have nothing back here. Actually, even that's kind of cool, right? Just like one camera. But does it look like it's floating? Because sometimes I get up and I leave. Like I'm like, I'll be right back, and then I leave, and then And then I even like changed the knobs of the closet here, because it used to be like a metallic knob, and I didn't like the look of it. So I went with white knobs just to make it a little bit nicer. And eventually I'm gonna move my studio around so I actually have a dedicated corner for doing live, because it still takes me about 15 minutes to set this all up for doing live. It'd be nice to have it permanently set up so I don't need to spend 15 minutes setting it up, 15 minutes taking it out. That's half an hour that I waste, right? Set up and take down. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? But I don't mind this showing either. This is a cool bag. I really like this this Wotancraft bag. And thank you, Wotancraft, for sending it out to me. I just kind of said, hey, they reached out to me a couple of years ago, actually. And we just kind of lost touch. And I reached out again and said, would love to check out your bags. And they sent me some camera straps as well. And as well as, I know a lot of you guys aren't into tote bags, but this is a great tote. It uses their kind of what is it called, like a Cordura. I'm not sure if this is Cordura or not, but it feels like they're they call it like a wax Cordura. But just when I need to grab a few things and kind of go between home and the studio, or if I just need to grab a few things for shopping, I love this. It kind of has a military kind of a look and feel to it. It folds down nicely and it fits inside my bag. So, anyways, more reviews. I just need time to edit the videos, which I'm not so good at. Kusanagi Kyo! Sup, Take? How's it going? G Nap, what's up? Let me know again, guys, if any of you guys are coming from Asia or Europe right now, because it's 2:30 here on the West Coast. I think Asia would be maybe 9. Losing my voice. Give me a second here. 6 a.m. 7 a.m. in Europe, and not in Europe, in Asia. And in Europe, it's like late night, is it not? Or late evening, mid-evening, or something like that. So let me know where you guys are coming in from. The strategy to talk about sneakers to a camera audience to get shoe sponsors, sorry, will never work. Promote and get sponsors from straps, bags, filters, presets, etc. to buy your sneakers. Yeah, you know, I know what you're saying. I just feel that think about like marathons. Who sponsors marathons? You assume it'll be running shoe companies, but actually it's like insurance companies, banks, that kind of stuff, right? And so, sorry, who's that? SN. If you look at my brand, a lot of my pictures on Instagram as well as my articles, I feature sneakers. I've incorporated watches, sneakers, straps, anything that I love into my ecosystem. And finally, a lot of camera manufacturers and accessory companies, they don't really have money. That's why you look on YouTube. It doesn't matter if it's a cooking YouTube channel, a travel YouTube channel, and a photography YouTube channel. Who do you see as the major sponsors? They're either some kind of a NordVPN or some kind of a VPN brand. They are Squarespace. There's like 4 or 5, Manscaped. There's just a handful of those sponsors. And like, what does Manscaped have to do with anything they're sponsoring? Or what does NordVPN? I mean, you can kind of say, well, it's kind of internet based. And so, you don't always have to match. And that's the beauty of having a sponsor that doesn't actually, aren't directly related to what you're doing. Because when you do that, you won't offend them as your sponsor. So let's just say, like K&F. I love K&F stuff. K&F filters. If they are a sponsor of this video, then I can't show you B+W filters or the Peter McKinnon filters. Because, out of respect, if they're sponsoring it, you shouldn't be showing other stuff, right? And so there's always that risk of conflict when your sponsor of something conflicts with the other things you're showing. And that's why, for me, KEH, for my regular, like not my live videos, but my regular videos, I thought KEH worked out really well, because KEH buys and sells used camera gears, accessories, tripods, bags, filters, adapters, like everything to do with photo and video, they will buy and sell, right? And so that's the perfect sponsor, because they're not loyal to any one particular manufacturer. So that actually worked out really nice for me, and I'm really happy that I'm working with KEH. So hello, Kayla. I hope you're doing fine over there in Georgia. But I'm just looking for a different sponsor for my live shows. And so anyways, and I'm throwing sneakers as sort of like a funny joke, but if it happens, I'll be happy. But if it doesn't happen and it's an insurance company, then that's fine too. As long as they can support my channel, I would be happy. So 10:30 in London, that's not too bad, Cafe YVR. That's pretty good. So those of you in the UK, maybe I won't make you guys wait too long. So those of you that like the CUDA stuff, and you know, this is like not a sponsored thing, or I'm not getting a kickback. Those of you that know me and my brand, me and Vishal, we're good friends. Camera Film Photo in Hong Kong. And these are like the CUDA straps that you guys often see me having on my various cameras. I have the black, which I think this one, they're all limited run straps. So this one, I think they're already sold out of this one. But Vishal said that I can give a 15% discount on any of my YouTube, and this is only on YouTube. I'm not mentioning on Instagram or Twitter or anything else, but just for YouTube. Use the code BHT15, and from my understanding, it is anything that is a CUDA product, but don't quote me on that. As you put stuff in your checkout, make sure that you're getting that discount. But I think he said, well, I think what we discussed is straps, but last time Camera Film Photo gave me a discount code. It applied for everything. So you guys know CUDA also does, well, they sell I actually, no matter what strap I have, I will replace it with the CUDA brass chrome plated rings on all my camera straps, so I don't wear out my lugs. But also they do a lot of cleaning products. A lot of either it's this is a very unique, very specific camera body cleaner. So there's no strong chemicals in here. So if you are cleaning old vintage cameras with leatherettes and stuff, and you're worried that maybe the chemicals in there might dissolve the whatever you're using, so they have a lot of cleaning products as well. And so yeah, so BHT15 if you want to buy anything from CUDA on Camera Film Photo's website. And once I finish the video, I'll put all the links down below. So 15% BHT15, all right? And I also am using I'm using OBS, so I do have access to let's just see if I can do this here. Let's go here, and here we go. I do have access to my so let's just change this over here. So I have access to my Flickr, and for me, Flickr, don't go and join on Flickr yet, because this is all private. I basically use Flickr as a cloud storage for myself. So if you get the Pro account, it's unlimited uploads, and the way Flickr works, it's beautiful. Like, it's really meant for photographers here. Let's just close Amazon. I don't know why Amazon's open, but let's just open up this folder here, and all of a sudden Flickr stopped working, and that's not good. Or maybe it's just specifically this folder. What's happening here? You can see it kind of like stalling there. So just as I'm trying to show you how Flickr works, it's not working for some odd reason. Oh, it's almost, look at that, it's almost fully saturated. Maybe he doesn't like the fact that I have the YouTube live streaming in behind here, and it's conflicting for some odd reason, which doesn't make any sense. But I was gonna just share with you some photos that I've taken with the XF18. I put f1.8. It's actually f1.4. I can fix that. But yeah, it looks like that's odd. It's not working. I will have to now switch back to my regular view. Because oftentimes we're talking and I want to share with you some photos, and then I'm like, oh, how do I share photos? Well, I need to use OBS to its full potential of sharing images, sharing photos that I have on my hard drive and stuff like that. So I'll try that back a little bit later. Let me see here. I might go back a little bit. Cambria. Someone's G Nap is saying they're coming in from Cambria. I don't know where Cambria is, unless you mean Cambodia. But that sounds very exotic and cool. East Coast, red. And Donald Klein saying, my setup for video calls is a few minutes. I use an app called Epoch, and it connects my phone to my laptop or iPad. Use it with Zoom. Oh, that sounds kind of like a cool thing. To use an app, Epoch connects your phone to the laptop. Oh, so then I can share from my iPad. The thing is, OBS, I think, does also allow me to connect an external peripheral as well. So maybe I don't even need an app like Epoch. But I am using my Asus. I think last week somebody complained that there was a bit of a lag in my audio. And I said, oh, I'm using my MacBook M1, my MacBook Air M1, which I usually don't use for live. I usually use my Asus, which I'm using right now. And so there shouldn't be any lag, I hope, with my audio, with my video. But that's actually a good idea as well. Kusanagi, Kyo, with Fuji new CEO, what do you think would happen to them in the future? That's a long question. Fujifilm definitely has, they weathered that storm, right, of transitioning from analog and film business over to digital, medical, chemical, and cosmetics. And, Fujifilm is on a really good projectile. A lot of us film lovers are unhappy with Fujifilm since they've divested so much out of film. But at the time that they divested, it made a lot of sense. But now they're starting to run out of the ability to make some of the films, like Acros 2. They have to make the second version because the original version, the chemicals weren't available. And I think it's all made in the UK, so Ilford is probably making Acros 2. And now a lot of people are saying that Kodak might just make Fujifilm standard C200 film. And even, them discontinuing pack film and Pro 400 film has also been discontinued. And so I hope that there is a renaissance in film. Not a huge renaissance. It'll never be what it used to be. But hopefully, I know Fujifilm, their most profitable division in photo is actually still Instax. Instax makes them more money than digital, right? So they understand that physical print, and Fujifilm still makes labs, wet labs. They make paper, they make chemistry, they make photo paper, and they make film other than Instax. And so Fujifilm is still invested in analog. They're still invested in the film realm. But obviously, digital is where the growth is going to be, as well as medical and cosmetic. And, they even have a medical division where they're working on COVID vaccines and stuff like that. So, Fujifilm is very diverse. It has a lot of breadth and depth in certain fields. And so, what will specifically happen in the photo realm? I don't know. I think Fujifilm is still kind of trying to figure their way out. And the way digital changes and advances very quickly. Unlike the old film days, you can have a body like a Nikon F3 that was in production for 20 years. You can't do that with digital anymore, right? Unless they make digital more modular, meaning if they can design a digital camera sort of like a film camera, right? Where you can actually swap out the sensor. Imagine having a digital camera where they will let you open it up and then take out the sensor and then put in a new sensor. Imagine that, right? Having a modular digital camera, but I don't think camera manufacturers, it's in their best interest to do that, to create a system. But I think it would be smart because it will let people upgrade their cameras and not be tempted to switch over to another manufacturer. If another manufacturer is like, oh wow, they have this new quad pixel autofocus system, let's switch over. But then if it's based on a sensor and then your latest, greatest, whatever Fujifilm camera you have, you just swap out the sensor and then you almost have like a brand new camera, maybe even swap out the processor and upgrade it like that. I think it's actually a good thing. I don't know if that is financially viable. Like I showed you the X70, there's a kind of a cult following with this camera, but if it sold really well, Fujifilm wouldn't have discontinued it. But obviously, it didn't sell to their expectations, so that's probably why they got out of it. They did come up with the XF1, which is a really weird camera. They dumbed down the X70 and thought that it would sell well. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they got to make business decisions, right? They're not a charity. They have to make money. They have shareholders. And so being innovative in both technology, but as well as in design, Fujifilm is very well known for their design. And so by pushing the boundaries of design and technology and how it kind of comes together, and photography is kind of that, right? It's kind of like art, it's technology, it's engineering, it's design, all kind of in one thing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Fujifilm will do in the next 5 to 10 years. And Calum saying that there's a Pro 400H resupply, but that must be dead stock, right? It must be like Fujifilm is not making it anymore. It's just whoever happens to have it. But that's awesome. TAC is not complaining. If there's dead stock Pro 400H, TAC is down for it. Let me know, Calum, who has it. I'm gonna have to call him up and see if they'll spare me some. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Good day from Sydney. Hello, Steve. I've had problems with the X100F and X100V as both ended up needing repairs for the shutter after using a shutter release cable. Oh, that's odd. I've never, to be honest, I've never used a physical shutter release cable on these. I would just use the app. Or sometimes I would put a threaded soft shutter release on you, but I'm not actually using it as a shutter release. So that's odd that something went wrong with the physical shutter. Has anyone else had issues? Comment down below for Steve if you've had issues with the X100F or the X100V using a threaded shutter release to press the shutter instead of using. And so you're saying not the leaf shutter, you mean just the actual shutter mechanism itself, right? Oh, that's odd. I've never heard of that problem. And I'll even talk to my buddy Jerry or even Billy in Fujifilm Canada and just kind of mention, hey, someone from Australia had mentioned, and I know the folks down at Fujifilm Australia as well, so hopefully they're taking care of you down there. And hopefully they can work that out, because that's an odd thing to happen. Sync offset by 100 milliseconds in OBS. Sorry, this is a big jump in my messages here. So there is a bit of a sync. Oh, I see. You're saying, Barry, when you go live, there's a 100mm offset. Yeah, you can offset the audio, but is there a slight? Maybe there's a slight offset in my audio. I'm not gonna play with it now, but yeah, if it's good enough for you guys, it's good enough for me. Taka's not picky. Kusanagi, you're mentioning in the future sensors that are small enough and slim enough to fit in our film cameras. You know, the funny thing is, in the year 2000, PMA, that's the Photo Marketing Association photo conference, which is at the time second largest photo conference convention in the world after Photokina. There was a brand called Sans Film, so S-A-N-S, Sans, and I think that's Latin for not or non or something like that, so Sans Film, and basically it was like that. It was a little digital sensor, and it fit, the processing fit inside the film canister here, and it had a built-in memory card, and that's basically what it was. It was a digital sensor that you could put into any film camera. And then all of a sudden it disappeared. And rumors were that one of the big three at the time, so it would have been like Kodak, Fujifilm, or maybe Canon, they bought the company and just buried the tech because they didn't want people to use their film cameras for digital photography. They wanted them to buy new cameras, which I would never put that beneath any major publicly trading company that has shareholders, because it cuts into their bottom line, right? But I don't see why manufacturers can't make that now. There's just no motivation really to do. I know there are some brands that have backs. I think like for the Nikon F3, where kind of like this whole, because most of these backs come off, right? Like this. I heard that, I think maybe it was for Nikon, someone had designed one that you buy their back, which has the sensor on here and the full mechanism, and you attach it onto specific cameras, and you can convert it into digital. So I've heard of that, but you know, it'll have to be camera specific, I think, because it would have to know when you're shooting, and then also you know, how do you adjust ISO? I mean, I guess you could do it with an app, right? If it had a Bluetooth controller, you use an app, but it'd be easier if the back came off, and then you can actually change ISO. You can change certain things from here. But yeah, I think it'd be a cool idea. I'm not sure how popular it'll be, but I think if it was made for a camera that I own, I'd love to do it. Wrist check. What watch are you wearing? Hey, Robert. Yeah, I'm wearing my my Cobalt. They kind of like, I rotate through my watches quite a bit. This is my Cobalt. Is it picking up here? There you go. It's called the Endurance A from 2000. It's a little bit of staining in there because I left the screw down crown open once, and I took a shower. So like water got inside. But other than that, the camera works fine. I do need to get it calibrated again, but this is just an old kind of a, it uses a Voljoule 7750 ETA movement in there. So it's a kind of a standard kind of a chronograph that you would get in the 2000s. It's kind of a Sin, helmet Sin design chronograph watch. But yeah, I love this watch. But I got some watch news coming up soon, but I'll keep that on the down low. Alberto, how's it going, Alberto Genato? Hello from NYC. Do you think Velvia 50 will be discontinued? Yeah, they discontinued the 100 in the US because of some weird chemical, which is, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. I did a little bit of research on that issue of the Velvia 100, where there's some weird chemical that's like 0.003 or something like that. So it's such a low amount that I don't see why. I mean, there's some really bad chemicals in lots of stuff that's like, look at like Drano. That's pretty bad, but you could use it and buy it from anywhere, right? But Velvia 50 obviously has a different formula. I don't see it. Like Velvia 50 is kind of a standard film. So if anything, that'll be one of the last films standing, I think. I mean, even look at Acros. When they discontinued Acros, there was such a huge outcry of Acros that Fujifilm actually backpedaled and said, "Oh, don't wait, we have version 2 coming out," because they didn't realize how popular it was. And also there was a black and white only disposable camera that Fujifilm had, and my guess was they had Acros in it, so they technically couldn't just get rid of it, because then they would have to get rid of the disposable cameras, which sells very well for Fujifilm. And so, Kyo, the sensor could be light sensitive and only captures pictures when the light is hitting. No, for sure. So in a way, the same as film. But the thing is, yeah, as soon as the shutter starts to open, it will know, right? Because you don't want it on all the time. Because if it's on all the time, it's like an EVF. It'll eventually kind of burn out. So it needs to, like, you crank it, and as soon as the shutter opens, it immediately, all the pixels are hot. The thing is, you want all pixels on before the shutter starts opening. That's the only tricky part of this system. So I think it's possible. Definitely. TH Visuals. Best wishes from the UK. So, okay, UK, there are those of you in the UK are still joining. So, thanks for joining those of you in the UK. And let me just, the whole thing kind of jumped again. Cafe Wife, you're saying people had X Pro 2 shutter buttons explode? That's madness. Repairing the shutter, probably the shutter button. I think so, because most people say shutter, they probably mean the shutter release button, not the actual physical shutter. I thought that was a weird thing, like, what does the shutter button have to do with the physical shutter? But I think he meant the shutter button, the shutter mechanism itself, the shutter button mechanism. Steve, yeah, I use the app from now on. Yeah, the app is just awesome because you could just step away from it and just press, and you can immediately see what you captured, transfer the images. It just kind of looks cool. When you use the old school mechanical shutter release cable. But yeah, I've never used it other than just putting a cool brass shutter, soft shutter release, because it just looks cool. But I've never physically used the old school one because the app works so well. Donald talking about I'm back 35. You can convert 35 camera to digital. Yeah, there's some kind of like Kickstarter stuff out there. And I don't think any major manufacturer is going to invest in it. It's going to have to be kind of a Kickstarter type invention. And Band Shooting saying that his X100F works 40K shutter release with the additional button on it, meaning like a soft release. But I think what the Steve was mentioning was because the pin goes deep in to actually trigger the shutter, right? Deep inside, and something, I guess maybe something gets stuck deep inside there. And maybe that's a good reason to maybe SCUS gets caught up in there, right? Because it's the physical button pressing, and maybe putting a soft shutter release on here kind of protects it maybe? I don't know. And then also X100V on repair, wasn't able to half press, sold it later. My iPhone 12 Pro takes better pictures. I would argue that it doesn't take better pictures, but straight out of camera, iPhone, even my iPhone 8, straight out of camera, definitely looks better often, especially when there's a lot of dynamic range in an image versus any of my Fujifilm cameras. But you gotta kind of work the files, right? A little bit. But straight out of camera, all the iPhones are just, it's amazing what they can do with algorithms, with software. And I think that's something that Japanese manufacturers really need, because Japanese aren't very good with software. They're good with hardware, but to them, software is kind of a second-class citizen. Software developers in Japan make nothing. You know, most major manufacturers, including a company like Fujifilm, they probably have contractors working on software, other than maybe the actual firmware that's in the cameras. But stuff like app development and that kind of stuff, often it's contractors or third-partied out, because Japanese don't think much of software, and they've fallen quite far behind. And countries like China and Korea are light years ahead of Japan, and same with the United States and most of Europe. And so Japan really needs to catch up. And once Japanese gets onto something, they learn very quickly and they progress very fast. But at this time, even now, Japanese don't see software at the same level as they see hardware, which makes sense because Japanese take pride in making physical things, right? They take pride in manufacturing things, right back to the Tokugawa period, where they're making amazing samurai swords and kimonos and any kind of Japanese craftsmanship, like pottery and that kind of stuff. And so they take pride. It's kind of a cultural thing, right? Of making physical things. Software is virtual. And so they just don't put as much emphasis on it. But, you know, something like an iPhone, it's like a slab of glass with aluminum or steel wrapped around it. And it's pretty much the whole thing is software, right? And so software is the big reason why Apple and the entire ecosystem works so well. And so Japanese better get on software or they will lose out. And definitely in something like photography. Let me see here. I see some of you guys are kind of conversing amongst yourselves, which I actually appreciate. I would love to get somebody else on here. Mac D, how's it going? Thoughts on the Leica M11? What if they perfected the hybrid viewfinder a la Fujifilm X100V? Would you think it's a good idea? I actually talked to someone about this. It will be a good idea, but you have to remember that when you are in EVF mode, but you're still mechanically focusing, the electronic focusing via pixel level focusing, either contrast or passive, the sensors at the pixel level, there's going to be a slight difference because, you know, even with the M camera, digital or film, the mechanical coupling for focusing needs to be adjusted once in a while. But when you're in digital, it'll know that it's off, right? So they would have to be able to figure out a way to compensate for that difference when you're shooting in OVF mode and you're like, I'm in perfect focus. And then you go to EVF mode and it's like, oh, it's slightly off, which is correct. Well, the digital EVF will be correct because it's at a pixel level. It's looking at something and saying that's like using either focus peak or something like that. It will tell you like that's off a little bit. But I think it's a good idea. I'm looking forward to a Leica having a having a my brain has stopped working. How long have I been talking for? Been talking for 45 minutes. That's not too bad. Tak is losing his energy. I used to do these things for like an hour and a half. But I am looking forward to the Leica M11. I'm pretty excited. And Travis Morrison Mikkel, thank you so much for your $5 super chat donation. I do appreciate it. Any inside info on the Leica CL2? Do you think they will ever make one? So I don't have inside information. I mentioned it to the people at Leica, and they kind of went silent. I said, look, I know you can't tell me if you're working on it or not, but you guys really need to like, there is a market for APS-C, as you can tell by Fujifilm and how strong they are. Don't look at Sony and Canon that have kind of half-assed their APS-C, which it's fine with me. They just opened the door and let Fujifilm take over. Samsung was doing really well as well, but they dropped out, and their APS-C cameras was just like 2 or 3 years ahead of even what Sony or Fujifilm was doing. So there's a lot of room in APS-C, and I think a lot of people who want the Leica branding but want something smaller than an SL2, I think a CL2 would be fantastic. And I talked to the local rep, and he loves the CL. Like my local rep, he uses a CL, and I think it's great. They need more lenses, but I think a CL2, it should have an articulating screen. They need to really update that Maestro processor. It just feels slow, especially when I'm comparing against the Fujifilm. But I love the CL. I think it's a great concept, a great size, great colors that you get out of their Leica APS-C sensors. Fantastic. I've always, right from the X Vario, which everyone hated, and then all their all-in-one APS-C kind of cameras were all great. And the CL, I think, is fantastic. I think it's... I have a friend that has an SL2 and a CL. He takes a CL on vacation because he's like, I'm not dragging the SL2 on vacation, but I'll take the CL on vacation. So I think a CL2 would be a great idea. And thank you so much for your super chat donation. I appreciate that. Let me just catch up here. I love the X Pro because of, I love rangefinder camera, but using OVF without rangefinder is not the same. Yeah, it's true. It is fun to look through the OVF because you actually do see like what is the actual color balance, and also there is no blackout when you shoot, so you actually get to see the moment of exposure like a true rangefinder. But to be able to physically focus, I think that's great. So I think if Leica M11 has an EVF feature, but also true rangefinder coupled focusing, I think that's fantastic if they can come up with that. But Fujifilm aren't interested. I've already talked about it with them. They're not even interested in manual focus lenses. They want everything focused by wire. That's unfortunate. Even Fujifilm insiders have asked Tokyo to say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we have a triplet of vintage lenses, maybe like a 23, a 35, and a 50, you know, f2 or f1.4, all manual focus lenses with a smooth aperture for video, whatever. And Fujifilm's like, no, we're not interested. And this is someone that works at Fujifilm, right? So I think Leica, if they can do it, that's awesome. And that's kind of why I like brands like Per Gear and TT Arts and stuff, because they're making what I want, which is a APS-C lens on my Fujifilms, but it's manual focus just for fun, right? I think that's great. And even for talking head video, like I don't move that much. Like unless I'm showing something like this, I don't move a lot. So for a lot of, there you go. For a lot of talking head pieces, a manual focus lens. Oh, hey, Steve. How's it going, Steve? Thank you so much. Have a coffee on me. Thank you. I shall have a coffee on you, and I appreciate the super chat donations very much. Let me see here. Massey, how's it going, Massey? A few years ago, I watched a review about the Hexar AF. Awesome. I love that. And purchased it. Has incredible lens. Yes, that lens... That Hexanon 35 f2, man alive. I know a lot of Leica shooters are like, this is, if I don't want to take out my Leica, I take out my Hexar. That's an amazing, and do you know how to activate the slow quiet mode where even the film advance slows down and the autofocus slows down and everything slows down so it makes it super quiet? That's one camera, actually, I totally forgot about the Hexar. That's one camera I really want to own. Before they're all gone, is the Hexar. And I think in terms of build quality, it's probably one of the best. It's not really that compact, but it is one of the best of those classic point and shoot cameras. The worst built out of all of those kind of sort of premium is probably the Ricoh GR1. I love that thing. I own one, but they break more than any one of those other ones. I would say the Minolta TC1 and the Konica Hexar are probably the two most tank-like of all those compact point shoots. The Contax T-series are well built, and the Nikon 35, they're well built, but they all have their kind of quirks. The Nikon 35, the needles go off sometimes. There is a reset in there, but sometimes even with the reset, it doesn't reset. But you can use strong magnets to sort of force it to go where you want it to go. Works sometimes. Yeah, I love the Hexar. I'm glad that you bought one. I'm actually kind of jealous because I don't have one. K Will, quick question. Do you like the Fujifilm X-S10? Yeah, I just wrote an article on Fujilove. You can go check it out. And I have it right here. And I am considering buying this setup right here. XS10 with the 18-1.4. Because I'm using the X-T4 to shoot this video. But even the X-T4 doesn't have a grip like this. This grip is nice for all-day carry. I think I shot the XF 70-300, so that lens is huge. It's not that heavy, but it's a big lens, and I didn't need a strap because this grip, as you walk, you just kind of hold it like this, and as you can see now, this is holding up on its own with just like 2 fingers, so it just balances nicely, and it does remind me of the XH1 and its kind of large grip, and that's why I always kind of, when I'm in my studio doing product shots, I actually do prefer using the XH1 over the X-T4. One of them is the articulating screen, but as well as the larger grip. So I think the XS10 is great. There's a few things I don't like about it. I don't like that they don't have a rear dial. They kind of force you to use this unlabeled rear dial here, but just to punch in for magnification, I have to use this joystick button to do that. But if I actually have this to magnify, but now I can't use this to reset the focusing point to center. And as well, if this is here, they could have put a custom button on the top here. I also don't like a drive button. I'd rather have it as a drive dial underneath here. But you know, this is a prosumer level. They also got rid of the focus select dial here, so you can pick between autofocus single, continuous, and manual focus. I always love that being there. That's removed. They also removed the a few other things they removed. But I mean, overall, I am happy with this, and I will have a YouTube video second look at the XS10, but specifically, oh yeah, and pop-up flash, which is awesome, and also with the XF18. But I did just post a video article on Fujilove magazine if you want to go check that out. Let me see here. I don't know what happens here when it says put user in timeline. Someone had said if someone does super chat, you can put them in the timeline. I don't know what that means. All right, let me just try to catch up here. Sorry, I'm kind of talking to myself, and I'm probably getting a bit tired too. So let me just try to wrap up and answer all the last few questions here. M11 will basically be an M10R lighter and optimized ISO dial and better startup speed. Yeah, they definitely need a new, even on the SL2 and the Leica Q2, that process, the Maestro, is it Maestro 4 or Maestro 3? It needs to be updated. It's way too slow. So that's definitely cool. I heard maybe that they might not even put that the brass bottom plate, so they can put the same battery that's in the SL2 and the Leica Q2, the type that just kind of clicks in from the original Leica SL. You can just click it in, but I can see them doing that and still put the plate, but then I think that's kind of a waste. They could still put a brass plate bottom and then have that thing, that new battery that they have. So then the M series, the SL series, the Q series, and the new CL2 series all share the same battery. I think that would be awesome. Anyone know how to delay the stream is? It seems to have quite a long delay. Oh, is there a delay now? I apologize if there is a delay. And K Will asking, unfortunately, I currently can't do photography due to my lens not focusing right. Oh, that's not good. Sorry, guys. Accidental timeout. Oh, I see. Cafe Warrior, did you do something bad? I do appreciate you being my moderator, though. You and Will. I think Will's probably still sleeping because he's in Fukuoka. But anyways, it is now coming up to an hour. So unless you guys have any more questions, let me know. Again, as I mentioned, these straps, camera film photo and Kuda straps and accessories. I think all their other accessories also qualify. If they don't, I'll put it down below, so please don't quote me on it. But I know for sure that all these Kuda straps and probably these rings are all 15% off at Camera Film Photo. I'll put the link down below. Use the code BHT15. I'm not getting any affiliate link kickbacks or anything like that. It's just something that he offered to give to my followers. So if you are interested in any of these Kuda products, I have this one here you can't get anymore. It's discontinued, but I like this. It looks great. Kind of a monochromatic look on this XS10 and the 18 F1.4. So thank you, Camera Film Photo, for giving those discounts. And yeah, unless you guys have any more questions, I think I'm going to time out here. Massey M11 comes out soon. You hope it'll be expensive. Means cheaper M10. Actually, that's a good point. If that means the M10 drops by a couple of $1,000, which will then drop the M240 a little bit, and then the M9 and everything kind of drops a bit, it's better for the rest of us, right? Let me just see here. Camera Girl's watching, and she heard me say kickback, and she says the kickback is not the proper term because it's kind of like an illegal thing. I don't get affiliate dollars. I don't get affiliate, what's the word? Commission. I don't get commission. Are you happy, Camera Girl? Thanks for watching, Camera Girl. So use that link, sorry, the BHT15 code to get the discount off of anything from Kuda. Straps, I know for sure. The cleaning products and those other products, I don't know for sure. But I'll clarify that with Vishal once he wakes up in Hong Kong. K Will, I might get the XS10 or the A7 III one day, not sure yet. Both have good specs. Yeah, I mean, if resolution and higher ISO performance is of the priority, then the A7 series is really hard to beat, right? Especially if you're buying like an A7 II, like buying one of the older ones, it'll probably be like either the same price or cheaper than the XS10. But you're buying more than just, with Fujifilm, you're buying more than just a body. You're buying into the entire ecosystem of lenses. Here, I have the, I also asked, other than the 28-1.4, I also asked for the 50mm f1, Fujifilm's first knocked, and the first autofocus knocked in a long time. Like, so Canon has their 50 1.2 and it's autofocus, but I don't know how many autofocus knocks are out there. But this focus is, I mean, it's not as fast as like one of their one of the Fujicrons, but it's pretty darn good for a camera of, what is the filter size on this baby? 77. So I don't have any 77mm filters. So this is the night lens for me. But it's just kind of amazing to see that f1, right? Looky, f1. I think that's awesome. So yeah, so I'm gonna be testing this as well. Actually, you know what? That's the one thing I said I was going to test, but because I didn't have the lens, I didn't know. One of the things I was curious about is how close this grip comes to the lens. Because see how much that lens sticks out? See how close that is? So let me just put my hands in here. So 100%, when my hand is in here, my knuckles are touching the lens, which isn't horrible because it is smooth. It's a high polished, kind of an anodized paint finish on here. So it's not like it bothers me that my hand is touching, but definitely my hand, and you know, I have kind of big hands for my size. I think it's like a 7.5 inch, 8 inch, kind of from pinky to thumb, but I don't have thick hands, right? So so even with my hands, if my hand is on the grip here, it's already touching the lens. If you have big hands, oven mitt hands, it'll be kind of tight in here. Versus something like the XH1, which there will be more space. Let me just pop on the XH1. The XH1, see that? Not touching. Look how much space. I could almost put definitely another pinky from my hand, and then a pinky space, and then it touches the lens. So if you buy this lens and you have big hands, maybe wait for an XH2, or maybe you own an XH1. There's enough space with this. But the XS10 is a little tight. It's very front heavy. But again, the grip really helps. In fact, it probably is more comfortable carrying this lens on an XH1 versus an XT4. Because the XT4 doesn't have much of a grip. Kind of like when you're holding it this way. But your knuckles will touch the lens as you hold it. But not the end of the world. And also it's funny, as I have this on the table, the lens is bigger. As you can see, the lens sticks down further than the body. So the way you would kind of store it on a table, actually I would put it lens down like this. Because if you put it this way, the whole body kind of rocks like this, which is pretty hilarious. And so, you know what? I'm going to try to... More questions came in here. You want sneaker sponsors, but you don't get kickback on the camera stuff you promote. Kickback. I don't know. Yeah, I use the term kickback, and Camera Girl says it's wrong. But you mean like, do camera manufacturers pay reviewers? And I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, SN. And I hope you're not, because you know, Cafe wherever you are, you could block him, but not yet, because I don't know, because his last one seemed kind of sarcastic too. No. Fujifilm does not pay anyone, including me, to review the gear. Because remember, I'm not promoting their gear. I'm just testing it and letting you know the strengths and weaknesses of their gear. And same with Leica, same with Canon, and same with Ricoh. They don't pay us. They're too tiny. They don't make any money. You see, either Ricoh pays someone to promote their products, or they let reviewers have it, not pay them, but they pay the shipping back and forth and stuff like that. And so they get like 100 reviews of some camera or some gear without paying anyone. But in return, we get to play with all this gear for fun, right? So to answer your question, no, none of us get paid to review this gear. And they won't pay us, because then it's not really a review, right? It's just a brand feature. And for sneakers, it's different, because I'm not reviewing the shoes. I'm just using them as kind of a sponsored placement. Because that's kind of how YouTube works, right? Because KN, I'm sure you would, SN, I'm sure you wouldn't spend hundreds of hours a month for free to do nothing, right? Because I mean, for a lot of us YouTubers and content creators, this is what we do for a living. And so we need to find ways of making money. And me doing these live videos takes up my time and energy. So if I can get a sponsor, like I said, I don't really care. I mean, as long as it works with my own ethics and my, you know, I think it kind of fits what I do. That's why, you know, I've had opportunities to work with NordVPN and Squarespace, stuff like that, but it just kind of, it didn't align with my branding at the time. At this point, I might decide to work with them if they want to work with a smaller brand like me. But if not, that's fine. But, you know, I am always looking for sponsors. It doesn't have to be shoes. It could be something not related to photography, which is fine. But you know, we're all looking for ways to fund what we do. And these live shows, I think, definitely will be up. Because, for instance, if I get a sponsor, like a shoe sponsor, one of the things I would do is ask them to give me an extra pair to give away to you guys. So imagine every live show, I get to give away a free pair of shoes in your size. You know, I don't see how that hurts you or hurts me, right? I think it's a good thing. So, anyways, see if I can answer these. I'm wondering how it compares to Canon's old 50. Canon's old 50 f1, not sharp at f1. This lens here, the 50 f1, which works out to be a 75mm f. You know, in terms of the shallowness of the depth of field, you are getting a 50mm f1, but because of the crop factor, anyways, that's another full conversation. This is sharp at f1, But one of the negatives you're going to get with this is you're going to get, first of all, weird internal flares because this is a very complex lens design in here, but also a lot of chromatic aberration in the out of focus areas. So usually in the background, you're going to get green fringing in the highlights, and in the foreground, you're going to get a lot of purple fringing when you're shooting at f1. By the time you're at f2.8, it's pretty much all gone. But f1, you're gonna get some color fringing with this lens. That's the biggest weakness of this, and that's the biggest complaint people have had on that 50mm lens. Let me see here. By the way, I'm new to photography, K-Will. So welcome to photography, K-Will. But I'd say I like landscape photography the most so far. I was just on a trip to Maine and Vermont last month, and I mainly did landscapes. Then I liked it a lot. Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of us, including myself, I started off doing landscape because it's kind of like the prettiest things to photograph, and you know, sunsets and puffy clouds and stuff like that. And I still do it once in a while. And but for me, I live in the city, so to me, street makes sense because it's just kind of what's in front of me. But if I lived or if I visited somewhere, because I remember when I went to Kyoto in Japan and I went to Himeji, beautiful landscapes, and I was kind of doing like landscape photography, right? So that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying your photography. And Kevin, a third person asking what watch are you wearing? This is the Cobalt Endurance A with a Volgio 7750. ETA movement in here from like 2001, 2002, with a bit of water damage because I took a shower with this and forgot to screw down the crown and got water inside. But other than that, the camera works, the watch works perfectly. And Massey, Leica 1-1 show interview with that, you did great. Oh, the Instagram live. Yeah, I'm still going to do a YouTube live, but I got to figure out how I'm going to set that up. So stay tuned for more stuff with Leica. Looking for more of that type of content. Yeah, I will do that. Let me just work out how to have guests on YouTube. And then once I work that out, then I'm thinking of maybe just subscribing to Zoom Professional, which allows you to be able to get a streaming key and then stream key that over to YouTube, and then I can do a side-by-side with Fujifilm, with Leica, or anyone. So I think that'd be cool. But anyways, that's it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for to Travis and Steve for your super chat. I do appreciate it. But ultimately, I hope to find a regular sponsor. If you guys know anyone that would love to sponsor a live show like this, let me know. Reach out to me directly, info@bigheadtaco.com. But until then, thanks for watching and happy shooting. I'm gonna grab my film camera again. And remember, the word is not kickback. The word is commission. That's it. Thanks and goodbye. All right, how do I end this? There we go.